Hello again. So in last lecture we have started another topic in which we have seen how to split our data set into the train and test data sets so that our developed model can be trained upon the training set, and then its performance will be evaluated on the basis of some data set which it has never seen in its training phase. Okay, so that data set is called the test data set. So in deploying all those techniques and all those libraries which we have used after creating our own data set, some other functionalities are also built inside some important packages, just like the Scikit-learn. So Scikit-learn is one of the very important package in machine learning community. Many pre-processing tasks, data cleaning tasks are offered by this library, and this is one of the very awesome libraries. I always recommend it for all the data scientists and for all the new guys which want to learn the machine learning or data science or somewhat so on. So in order to use the functionality of the Scikit-learn for the data splitting, so first of all, let us first import our data set here. So from sklearn.datasets import, let me load some data set here. So the data here, let me call it iris. Okay, so let me load this data set here. This is the iris data set. So let me call it a data set. So data set here is the load underscore iris, so it will be loaded after it. So now you can, as we discussed it earlier, that the data set, this data set, when it is loaded, is basically a dictionary which will be composed of two elements, which were the data and targets. Okay, so now in order to see the functionality of our data, first of all let us convert them into the data and the labels it has. So data set dot target is the label it has. Okay, so now let me have a look over it. So print x. So after printing it, we can easily see that it has basically composed of four features. So we can easily see here the features names as well. So let me see the feature names here. Dataset dot feature names. So what are the feature names? That is the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. So there are basically three flowers here in iris dataset, and these can be classified on the basis of the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Similarly, let me try the labels here, or target names. Yes, these are the target names. So what are the target names here? So we have three flowers here: Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. These are three targets here, and on the basis of these four characteristics, we have to see which flower is this. Okay, so the labels here are basically, these are the labels, and zeros are for the Setosa, one is for the versicolor, and the third one is the virginica, which is represented by 2 here. Okay, so these are the labels which are used here. So as we will get it, this basically is composed of how many data sets, data elements or data features. So the length of, let me first see the length of y. So it is 150. So we have basically 150 data items. So in order to use it for training and testing purposes, I have to split it into the train and test data set. So in Scikit-learn we have a built-in command which is called the train test split. Okay, so let me import it from the sklearn dot, and there is a sub module which is called a model selection. Inside the model selection we have the train test split. Okay, so that is the command here which is used for splitting my data sets into train and test data set. So when these will be splitted into the train or test data set, those test or train data sets will be called X train, X test, Y train, and Y underscore test. Okay, so after it this command can be used, and after it our data, which is composed of the features and then the labels, will be used here. Okay, after it, what are the parameters or what are the functionalities here? We can easily see here from this as well. So after it we can use here the size. Okay, test underscore size. So let me use 0.1 here, that is the 10% of the original data set which is here, that is used here. So after clicking it, the overall data set will be basically converted into the X train, X test, Y train, Y test data. So in this we can easily convert them into our data set, but here there is another concept which is called the stratified splitting. So in stratified splitting, what is important is that all the data sets will be composed of the equal proportion of each class. Okay, so suppose if we have one data sets in which one class is in majority and in other test data set in which the other class is in majority, so then in finding the test accuracy of the model or the evaluation will be biased towards the class which is in majority. So in order to do it, we have to make them equally in terms of their population or in terms of their labels. Okay, so what we have to do, there is very important command here, and that is called the stratify. So let me stratify it on the basis of my labels here. Okay, so when I will stratify them, the same models can be, the same command can be run without using the stratify here, but it will be biased towards the majority votes here, because these X train and X test will not be composed of the equal proportion of all the classes. Okay, so in order to compose them in equal proportion of all the classes, I have used here the stratify. So let me run it, and it has run without an error. So let me test it now, testing the X train here. Okay, so that's it. Or try testing, let me test the Y train here. Okay, so these are basically composed of all these zeros and one. So after stratifying it, let me see how many elements are now zeros, one or twos in my test or in train labels. So let me use the Y underscore train equal to 0 dot sum. Okay, so how many elements you have? These are the 45 elements are 0. How many are 1? 45 are 1. And how many are 2? 45 are 2. Okay, so in train all three are in equal quantity. Similarly in test, let me check the same numbers. So this is 0 is 5 zeros. How many ones are here? 5 ones. And how many twos here? So 5 twos. Okay, so we can easily conclude from this that the stratified has equally converted them. Okay, so let me now remove it and run it now. Okay, so now when I will run it like this, what will happen? Zeros are 8 in test set. How many ones are 3, and how many twos are here? These are 4. Okay, so we can easily see that the zeros here are 8, ones are 3, and twos are how much? Twos are 4 in our test set. So majority of it will be biased towards the zeros, or I can see here that majority votes will go towards the setosa. Okay, so the data set here is the bias and we don't want it, so therefore I use stratify here. Okay, so on the basis of y. So after running it, what will happen? It will again be used and will be converted into the same amount of labels here. So okay, so that's all about the train test split, which is another very important command in the scikit-learn. Okay, after learning all about the scikit-learn train test splitting, how to split our data set in Keras. Keras is also very important package, and how to as we have seen how to load models in the Keras, then but after it how to load my test and train data set in it. So in order to find it out, let me import my data set here. So from tensorflow.keras, okay, so keras dot datasets import. We have different data sets, so let me use the Boston underscore housing. Okay, so that is another data set. So let me run it. It is loading, and as the resources are going to be allotted here, so it is taking some time. Okay, so resources have been allotted here. Okay, session is started after allocating different resources. Okay, so it has run without any error, so the commands are good to go. So data set equal to, there is a command here, Boston underscore housing. Okay, Boston underscore housing dot load underscore data. So we can easily see here that this is the command which is used for loading my data here. So okay, so when I will load it, what will happen? It will fetch the data set and load it inside this data set. So let me see the data set here. So this data set is basically, we can see here that it is a type tuple here. So there are some tuples here. So the first tuple is the array 1, the second one is the array 2, okay, the third one is the array 3, and the final one is the array 4. So we can easily see here that we have 4 arrays here, which are basically, we can see the type of numbers here. The first and the third type of numbers are similar, while the second one looks like the labels here. Okay, so as the Boston housing is used for the regression processes or regression testing, so that's why these are used here. So after it, how to convert them into test or train phases. So instead of using here the data set here, it is conventionally we conventionally use the x train comma y train. Okay, so this is the first tuple here, and then the second tuple here is the x test comma y test. Okay, so let me run it now. So now our data set is basically composed of 4 elements here, x train here. So x train will be the first tuple, and x test will be here, this one, and while y train will be composed of the training labels, these can be seen here, while y test will be composed of the test labels. Okay, so we can very easily see here that, okay, so another convention here is that by default these data are basically 20% of the overall data set. Okay, so we can vary it or lower it with convenience of our own efforts. Okay, so that's it for today, in which we have seen the train test splitting in scikit-learn and then afterwards in Keras as well. So other data sets can also be splitted like this one. So thank you so much, and I will see you with other topic and with other data processing steps in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.